All right, I'm Matt, the AI guy. I help local businesses supercharge with AI, and I'm going to show you how. First, with a show of hands, how many of you had customers come to you with something they built with ChatGPT, acting like they got it all figured out? You may remember this commercial. Everybody's running around feeling smarter. They thinking that they're experts with ChatGPT, but AI is so much more than ChatGPT. Most people are using it to get answers and draft emails. And some people are even pretending to be lawyers, but it can be so much more if done right. McKinsey, a global consulting firm, interviewed thousands of businesses and found that 88% of them are using AI. But the scary fact is that only 17% of them are seeing a real impact. And that's where Rivet comes in. We're the bridge to helping you become the 17%. So why me? I spent the last 20 plus years working with some of the biggest companies in the world, helping them use technology to deliver results, using AI to help small and local businesses here in Metro Detroit and in other metro areas deliver results by building on top of their data with their workflows and working in the way you work. And the cool thing is that I get to sit across the table from you, have coffee. I'm not some guy calling in from Zoom from San Francisco. So this is a really important point here. This isn't a tech implementation. This is about building something that works for your business, that unlocks constraints by making it part of your workflow on your data with your numbers, your voice, and your way of working. I have a quick story here. I met with a really big builder recently in Metro Detroit. They build homes and custom homes, and they had implemented a chatbot on their website, and it was a tech implementation. The company just scraped their website and used that as the knowledge base for the chatbot. And they get dozens of prospects every day that come to their website and chat with this chatbot. And the funny thing is it only is able to answer 30% of the questions that people have. The other 70% are things that they that are not on their website. Things like HOA fees, things like timeline, how much of a deposit do I need to have? These are all things that their team, their sales folks, and their CSRs would actually know. And so when you just implement technology, you actually make a problem potentially worse versus actually building it with your data, with your workflow, and in your voice. So I'm going to share a story about a Metro Detroit area insulation company, Zebra Insulation. The quick story is that Mike and team have grown the business to 3 million plus really quickly, and he was starting to see the constraints of that fast growth starting to show cracks in his business. So instead of leading with a tool, I took a four-step approach, and it always goes this way, and the tools always last. We start with the goals, understanding what he was trying to achieve. Second, we look at what are the things that are actually slowing him down in his business. And then third, we're able to identify the right workflows. What are the highest value, lowest risk places to actually start with AI and build a workflow? And then we build it on top of his data with his voice and the way he works. So this is the best example of what we do. So this is the plan. This is the assessment of his goals and constraints. And we found four constraints. And I'm not going to go over all four, but what we found is we looked at each constraint. We looked at how many dollars or hours it was costing him. And then we came up with a plan for how we would actually improve his bottom line or help him achieve his goals. And we started with the highest value, lowest risk, which was blueprint estimating. And this is what we built for him. So right now, he's able to, he gets an email from a general contractor with a blueprint. He can now just one click upload it. It reads the blueprint using the last 3 years of Mike's logic and assumptions that he built over time because we trained it on the way he estimates. It pulls off all the measurements. It reads the blueprint for any installation requirements. And if there are none on the blueprint, it defaults to the local Michigan code, the local code, which in this case is Michigan. And then what Mike does is he takes those measurements and those requirements, the R values in this case, for each of the different measurements, and he adds his unit pricing to it. And these, both the unit pricing as well as the requirements, the installation requirements, can be adjusted if the GC comes back and says, hey, I need a different R value for this area of the house. He can make those. And if the pricing changes because of inflation, he can make those changes. And then what he does next is he typically types up an email manually with the details to the GC to get like an initial approval. And so we did this for him, and then he just clicks one click and it sends via his email. Then if the GC gives a go ahead, he clicks one click, generates the proposal, which has all the details here, and they can get sign off, and he can send that to the customer or the general contractor. So what was taking him over 60 minutes per blueprint and 8 to 12 hours a week now only takes him 2 minutes. And not only did it save him time so he can focus on the things that are important in his business, which is hiring, training, coaching his team, and looking for more acquisitions to grow his business. Also, he's onboarding new estimators, and those estimators now get his 3 years of experience doing the estimates, developing the assumptions and the logic built into a workflow and an application. So yes, he can teach them once, but it's always there for them. And we did try out some off-the-shelf AI solutions because there's AI solutions for everything. And we found the tools themselves were only about 90% accurate. That's enough for him to lose jobs or have a really reduced margin. And that reason is it wasn't built on his data and his workflow. So when we did that, we got to a much more accurate rate. So there's 3 questions I ask any business to find out where AI actually fits. And those 3 questions are, what process is taking longer than it should? What are the business leaders doing that junior employees should be doing? And where's their data that they're collecting and not using? So let me tell you a little bit about me and my family. This is married to a wonderful wife, Meredith, who is our true superhero. We homeschool all 4 of our kids from ages 8 to 1, and she's with them 24/7. And it is amazing that we're building our family and educating our kids and having the chance to be with them. These are my 4 fiercely independent kids, ages 8 to 1, and they are the loves of my life. They keep me going. And my parents, Gary and Kathy, have always taught me grit. And outside of work, I love all things outdoors: hunting, fishing, foraging, hiking, biking. If it's outdoors, I'm in. So finally, how can you be helpful? If you know of a business leader that runs an organization that has a org structure, you might hear head of marketing, head of ops. This is probably the right size business. And if you hear them being curious about AI and not knowing where to start, or you hear them say their growth is stuck, introduce us. I can buy them coffee, no pitch, no proposal. And I want to leave you with this parting thought. Most businesses are buying AI tools that they don't actually need. The ones that are going to win are the ones that understand where their constraints are in their business. They build a workflow on top of their data, and it can make a real difference. Thanks for your time.